Welcome to another episode of Sanford Says. My name is Lisa Holder, Chief Communications and Cultural Affairs Administrator for the City of Sanford. And today we're talking about business, the buzz on business, with our Economic Development Tag Team. Our wonderful team here. Tom Tomerlin is the Economic Development Director for the City of Sanford. Hi, Tom.
Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. And Pamela Lynch, Executive Director of the Sanford CRA and Project Manager for the Economic Development Team.
Correct. Welcome. Hello,
How are
everybody.
you? How are you? So these two city employees are really in the know and have some great information to share with us about development and business in Sanford, and who more than you two to share that great information with us. So, Tom, you talked before about the city's economic engines. Can you give us like a quick summary of that idea, like an overview? Before,
You bet, Lisa, and thanks for having us on the podcast again. This is kind of a way for us to easily describe what economic development is doing throughout the city, is to basically say, you know what? Economic activity is concentrated in certain geographies throughout the city. And more specifically, they're concentrated across 4 areas. And we like to call each of those 4 areas our economic engines. And the first area, if we start at the far western side of the city next to the interstate, the first engine we call our regional retail powerhouse. And think of the Seminole Town Center Mall as kind of the anchor of that. The next geography, or the next engine, would be our West Side Industry and Commerce Park, and I hope we can engage a little bit about some things that are occurring there in a little bit. And then the third engine would be our downtown, and Pamela, she has a strong concentration on doing things in the downtown because she's also the executive director of the Downtown Community Redevelopment Area, Community Redevelopment Agency. And so she can elaborate a little bit more on what's happening there. And then our fourth engine would be the airport area and the environment there.
So Sanford, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that Sanford is fortunate enough to have these big, huge economic drivers. We have so much opportunity here, right, Tom?
You bet, Lisa. And the nice thing about this are these engines is they really provide a balanced footprint of economic activity in the city, because they're all very distinct and different. So we don't have all our eggs in one basket. And so that's really kind of a nice feature of how Sanford is laid out and the way the economic fabric is laid out in the city. What do you think, Pamela?
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, we really do. You've got the diversity. I mean, we are very fortunate to have an airport within our city that, Tom will elaborate more on the number of acres that are available to the runway, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, because, we hope to think that there are listeners outside of our city here, city limits, and outside of even possibly the county, state, and around the country. If you're interested, this is a great way to learn about Sanford. And yes, we do in Sanford have an international airport.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Lisa, one way we're trying to advance the conversation about how important that airport is to us is if you look at all the great cities throughout our country, and one that just floats into my mind at the current moment is the city of Chicago. Very large metro area, Midwestern metro area. And everybody knows they have a big airport, right? It's called O'Hare. Mm-hmm. But then there's also a big second city airport, right, within the same metro area, and they call that Midway. And so Orlando is becoming a big metro area, and the Orlando Sanford International Airport, or the airport code being SFB, which we like to say is smart for business. That's the kind of the acronym we're using now, is that SFB has all the right stuff, all the right ingredients to become Metro Orlando's second major airport.
Well, that's really good to hear coming from our economic development director, who more than you to say there's good news here. There's, you're the expert in the field. So what are some of the, overall now, what are some of the projects that is occurring in these different economic engines, for instance, like the airport?
Thanks so much for that question, Lisa. What we'll do is I'll provide just a quick overview of 3 of the engines, and then I really want to concentrate on our downtown engine and have Pamela talk about that. So let me start once again at the far western end of the city, our regional retail powerhouse. We all know, and I think we've even stated this on a prior podcast, that retail throughout the country has taken an A&P punch. We call that, what do we call that, Pamela?
Amazon and the pandemic.
Oh,
Right. And that's something that has occurred to really all bricks and mortar retail establishments. But so our mall is in the process of being reinvented, and what we mean by that is that is the mall going to become a little bit more experiential rather than the place that you typically go to buy shoes and a blue dress or whatever kind of product that we used to buy in the 1990s, 1980s in malls, right?
Which is a national problem, right? We're not alone here.
We're not
Right.
alone. And so what we're thinking about, and we have such a great start at our mall, we have a new company there, Elevate. I think we've even said this before on a podcast, but you couldn't ask for a better first domino to tip at our mall in terms of talking about an experiential experience, right? Basically, it's a fun place to go with the family, and it has video games, it has the indoor go-karts, it has a bowling alley, it has the virtual reality video games, and then it has the old school video games. I think Pamela likes the Miss Pac-Man.
I was
and
going to
if
say
I'm-
that.
Yes, if I may, I think that, it did provide a sense of normalcy because coming out of the pandemic, their timing was perfect when they opened back up. And people just really wanted to get back out and feel, as I said, a sense of normalcy, going out and participating in various events together.
Yeah. And so, by the way, though, it's right off our mall is right off an interstate.
Great view. I mean, on I-4, it's very prominent to see them all, and it's very good that you mentioned that, Lisa, because the fact that it is so visible from the interstate has some people kind of knocking on the door saying, we'd like to develop there, especially in the mall parking lot. And two of those inquiries that we've been getting is one for a new hotelier to locate in the area, and then also a new apartment complex that would be located basically in the Macy's parking lot. And so what we hope, and this is still very preliminary, but what we hope is if we can put all those rooftops directly adjacent to the mall in that parking lot, there's going to be a natural synergy between people living there and then actually going into the mall. So that is that's kind of the latest and greatest on what's happening at the mall. That engine, regional retail powerhouse engine. The next engine, as you head a little bit more east, is we call the West Side Industry and Commerce Park. And the West Side Industry and Commerce Park, we're just so proud of. It's basically an area that you could think of St. John's Parkway as being the backbone. One thing that we're dealing with right now is we are looking at the West Side Industry and Commerce Park in terms of, do we have the right balance there? We have about 25% of the entire land area occupied with housing. So we're working with planning to maybe look at some comprehensive plan updates because the industrial and commercial use out there is so important. The economic engine, number 3, the one that everybody loves to talk about, is our downtown, and I'm going to turn it over to Pamela for that.
Okay, I'll just real quickly go over some updated projects going on. Workspace Collective, located at 311 East 1st Street, estimates opening towards the end of this year. It's very exciting. It's that co-working space in a building that's over 100 years old. The corner of almost 1st and Sanford Avenue. It's going to have a beautiful historic fire mural that's going to celebrate our 150th fire department anniversary as well.
And the list that you're sharing with us now is in the core of historic downtown Sanford, these businesses, correct?
Yes, that
New
is
businesses.
correct.
Okay.
Wells Fargo building, which is at 101 East 1st Street. There's an exciting new whimsical restaurant on the first floor, Dragon Vault, and floors 2 through 6 will be housing 24 apartment units. Also, where the former Sanford Pizza Company spaces, which is at the marina area along Seminole Boulevard, will now house a Philomena's, which is very exciting because anyone in this area knows Philomena's has eaten there.
Italian, right?
Oh, yes, it's
Delicious,
wonderful. I
yeah.
can vouch for the Greek salad all day
Okay.
long. It's fabulous. The Sanford Flower Shop on Commercial is actually being built out to be a veterinarian office now.
That's
So,
really
which
great.
is in great need. As you know,
It
there are
is.
many multifamily housing units and over in the historic district, single family, who have, and we're all pet lovers, right? We have a lot of
Yeah.
pet lovers here, so having a veterinarian close by, I think
Yeah.
is very important.
I'm excited for that.
So that's really just a quick update on a few things going on in the downtown area.
Those are pretty big few things.
Yeah, and what I would encourage the listeners to do is that, by virtue of Pamela spending much of her time in the downtown because of her role as the executive director of the CRA, reach out to her. Sometimes we get some great inquiries. What the downtown really needs is this. What the downtown really needs is that. Because I can attest to the fact that she gets a lot of inquiries on a weekly basis. But sometimes people, just by virtue of walking the street and understanding what's in our downtown, they say, the downtown is just missing this. So I would encourage the listeners to reach out to Pamela and talk to her if they see any kind of gaps.
How can we contact you, Pamela?
You can contact me at pamela.lynch@sanfordfl.gov.
And it's how you spell your last name?
Lynch.
Okay.
And Tom, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I do think it is important for people to also recognize that we have a very unique downtown. Most of the properties, if anything does become available, you probably won't find it on LoopNet or CoStar. So it really is walking it through the roads, knowing the people, having connections, knowing what's available, knowing what might become available. So if you are thinking of opening up a business, big or small, give me a call or email me. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like there's opportunity.
There is. Yeah, and the exciting thing, as Pamela mentioned, is that we like to think of our downtown as basically a big business incubator, because really, if you look at all the independent food and beverage footprint, the independent retailers, there's no chains. You don't see chains in our downtown. So this in a way, and you can look at Henry's Depot, our food hall, it's just such a great example of a place that can almost serve as an incubator to start a new food and beverage idea.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, come on down to Sanford. Whoever's listening, grab breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or late evening, early evening. There's something for everyone down here. If you haven't been, it's a really awesome place to visit and be. Tom, so
we didn't finish our last engine.
Oh,
an update at our airport. Okay, so real quick, Lisa. Our last engine, which is our airport, it's our easternmost engine. And it's kind of nice that it's the easternmost engine because it's getting a little closer to the space coast, which the aviation is just king. Aerospace is king. And so really just the long and short of it is that we're getting tons of inquiries for aviation-related businesses because there's plenty of acreage out at the airport that's going to have direct access onto the airfield, and so that's really valuable.
Okay, great. Wonderful. And can we talk real briefly about the 417 exit to the airport, or
yes,
is it just real brief?
Yeah, it was great that we had Central Florida Expressway Authority have a podcast with you not too long ago, and I was grateful to be able to sit in on that podcast, and that's still going strong, and what we believe is that by virtue of having that off-ramp connect the 417 almost to the front entrance of the airport on Red Cleveland Boulevard, that is kind of that is, once again, I hate to keep using this word, but is a game changer, because having that kind of direct access is going to open up the airport for not just new passengers and getting more passenger traffic, but it's also going to open up the airport for cargo and other businesses. So that is that's in the planning phase still, and there's a lot of things that have to be explored, but it's progressing.
Right. Okay. And we have a lot of visitors coming in. We have a lot of people, that travel from this airport, but we also have a lot of visitors that come in from several, locations around the country to come to Sanford.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, some of our
several.
downtown merchants have given a little bit of intel on how much out-of-town money gets spent here.
Yeah.
Pamela.
Most definitely. I mean, I can tell you that from credit card receipts, I believe 70% come from outside our zip code.
Is that a surprise to you economic development folks, or?
Well, it is a surprise. It's pretty exceptional, I think. But I will tell you that is by and large driven by the fact that we are Seminole County Special Events Center. Special event city as well.
And a destination city.
And so it is frankly a destination. So our special events, they cast a very wide net.
They do.
And so it's really a regional pull to some of our special events. And the advantage of those special events is that the people then go spend money in the bricks and mortar establishments that we have on First.
Do you want to say something, Pam?
I was going to say that I agree with Tom. I do think primarily it is the special events, but then you have a draw when you have someone like a restaurant like Hollerbach's that's been there 20 years. They're up to 700 seats, and they actually have a very large regional draw from all over Florida.
Right. And speaking about regional, our Sunrail. What we haven't talked about Sunrail in a little bit, especially on the podcast though. So the Sunrail station we have in Sanford, with the CRA funds the trolley that helps people get free back and forth from around the region to our city and go into downtown. So it's been operating for almost 9 years now, which is unbelievable, right? Time flies. And can you just comment on really the development associated with the
Sure,
Sunrail
sure.
and how it's been helping the economic engine of downtown, right?
Well,
Flourish.
Definitely.
yeah, it's funny because the Sunrail is kind of a nice way to think about joining the economic engine that I call the West Side Industry and Commerce Park and our downtown, and it's kind of the place that joins them. Technically, the Sunrail station stop is in the West Side Industry and Commerce Park land. Now, the nice thing about the Sunrail is that we're a little bit concerned about a lot of residential occurring in the West Side Industry Commerce Park, but if there is a place we want to put more residential is at the train station.
Makes
and
sense.
and
for
so
convenience
and
to
and
access.
yeah, get access onto the train. And that's commonly referred to in planning talk as transit-oriented development. And so we do have transit-oriented development. We have various planned developments that are occurring over there. A little over 1,300 units within a half-mile radius of the train station. And why do I say half mile? That's a 10-minute walk.
Okay.
So that's typically thought of as kind of an ideal standard to be able to walk to a train station. And then by virtue of having that trolley connect the Sunrail to our downtown, that's why I say there's a nice synergy between the West Side Interstate Commerce Park and our downtown because of the CRA-funded trolley. If you want to comment more on that, Pamela.
I would just say it's a great avenue, and who we work with, who we partner with on trolley services is very flexible when it comes to other activities that we may need assistance with.
Right.
And I can tell you that all of our trolley services center around that Sunrail. So if the Sunrail schedule changes, the trolley schedule will change.
Right.
However, it's been pretty sturdy and firm, the schedule lately.
Since we're talking about rail, just real quickly here, the Amtrak auto train. Sanford, one of two places in the United States
Right.
that has an Amtrak auto train station, Lorton, Virginia, and Sanford, Florida. So do we have that trolley from the Amtrak stop, and that would bring passengers waiting to go, and then they utilize our Sanford Information Center with their luggage and
Yes,
enjoy
that's
downtown?
correct. Yes, that's correct. When they come in, and especially they've been on a long train ride, and a lot of them, they take their belongings off the train. They want to keep them with them for, security reasons. They will come into the information center. We welcome them to the City of Sanford. We provide them with a visitor's guide. We show them the, general area what they ask about, whether it's restaurants or
Right.
anything else. And back in the back, we have these very large lockers with keys that they can take with them. So they place their luggage in those lockers. They're so thankful and appreciative. We find out a little information about them, and we did start doing a little resident of the week. So or a visitor of the week, visitor of the week. So they come in, we get a picture, and we'll do a little blurb about them. So people really love it here. They love that experience, and that first touch is everything when you come to a
Sure.
city. It can make a difference if somebody talks positively or not about you and will come back. So
Right.
we feel like we have a really good first touch when it comes to them coming here.
Thank you to the Sanford CRA. They do. It's not. It's free to the user, but there's a cost behind it. Funded by the Sanford CRA.
Correct.
Okay. And so we're talking about transportation. We talked about the rail, airport. Then there's people that drive their own things called cars. Now, parking and downtown. Can you provide like a perspective, Pamela, on what's happening with downtown parking?
Sure, thank you.
Please.
I think that, if you ask 10 different people, you'll get various answers. Does Sanford have a parking problem? You'll hear yes, you'll hear no, you'll hear not right now. But we recognize what's in the pipeline. And we know that we've got a project that we are contracted for, it's underway, to possibly remove 500 spaces that people use right now. So we are under what's called a parking RFQ, request for qualifications, which closes today on March 9th, where we receive information, the city receives information regarding an RFQ we put out. And that was to include a parking garage with some retail liners, perhaps some multifamily. And it's slated for the area of the corner of First Street and Sanford Avenue. Now, some people might say, well, isn't Monroe Hall there? And the answer is yes, Monroe Hall is there. But included in that RFQ is to either relocate that structure or to potentially demolish the structure. So we are asking for qualifications on both.
Okay.
People who have had experience with perhaps moving a building in addition to building a structured facility. So we'll have more information in the future, but we want people to know that we are doing what we call pre-damage control, and the city is doing their very best to make sure that when you come to the city of Sanford, you have parking options.
All right. Should we end on that note? I know I don't, but that's a great statement to end on. But we have just a few more minutes here. But a wrap up, Tom. What do you foresee for the remainder of the year for economic development for the city?
Well, what we would like to see is we want all those engines to be firing and running at a really good pace, right? We want our engines well tuned and operating, firing on all cylinders, I guess you could talk. And the downtown is special, and I really wanted Pamela to talk a little about the things happening at downtown, because downtown is kind of the heart and soul of our city. And I think, even when we talk to prospects that might be interested in building an aviation-related business out at the airport, they still have a very keen interest in seeing the downtown, because it does signify, and I think most people know this, it does signify, well, that's kind of the heart of your city. Let's see how it looks. And so that is one of the things that we love, that engine number 3, our downtown, but at the same time, those other 3 engines within our city, we just look to the foreseeable future that they continue to grow and fire on all cylinders, just to use that car engine analogy a little bit more.
Yeah, because an engine moves you forward. I mean, you're not going backwards. So you have these 4 economic engines, and we're looking forward. We're looking into the future, and Sanford's got a great foundation for economic engines in our city to be successful, right, for generations to come. Tom, any last words, Pamela?
We're looking forward to growing all 4 of those economic engines, and we're doing it as a team and as a city, working with the departments, working with the potential business owners, and we're excited.
And so more information about economic development, they can always go to the website at sanfordfl.gov, email you, Pamela.Lynch at sanfordfl.gov, Tom Tomerlin, same email, tom.tomerlin at sanfordfl.gov. Their information, we have economic information on our website. Anything else, Tom?
And listen to this wonderful podcast, Lisa.
Listen to this wonderful podcast. Thanks for that plug.
Thank you for having us, Lisa.
You're welcome. And have a great Thursday, the 2 of you. This is Lisa Holder, Chief Communications and Cultural Affairs Administrator for the City of Sanford. Thank you for listening to Sanford Says. We hope this provides you with clear insight of what's happening in our city in a different format, another communications channel the city has. You can also follow us on social media and subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thanks again for listening. Have a great day now. Bye.